My name is Sloan Everett, and I'm 38 years old. I co-founded Synapse Dynamics, a medtech company now valued at $85 million, and I was supposed to be its future. My background? Midwestern grit wrapped in Ivy League polish. I'm the daughter of a public school teacher and a war veteran, not born into power like my husband, Beckett. He was the legacy, I was the builder. He wore tailored suits and delivered keynote speeches, while I spent nights debugging code, rewriting contracts, and building systems from the ground up. Even after we married, I was never the Everett they paraded at galas. Not really. I was the brain behind the empire, but always kept backstage. And maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. The moment he smiled at me across a boardroom table and said, "Clean out your desk." The envelope was thick, cream-colored, heavy. Beckett handed it to me in front of 5 board members and 2 assistants without even blinking. I opened it slowly, thinking maybe it was some anniversary stunt, an inside joke. We had inside jokes once. It wasn't a joke. "You're serious?" I said, my voice flat. The words felt like pins in my mouth. Beckett leaned back in his leather chair. Effective immediately. The vote was unanimous. He was still smiling. Unanimous. My laugh came out sharp, wrong. "I built this company." "You built a product," he replied. "I built a business." I stood, blood draining to my heels. No one else in the room made a sound. Even Marla from finance stared at the wall like it had suddenly become the most interesting thing in the world. I didn't speak again. Not until I was in the elevator, my hands shaking as I opened the email app on my phone. At the top was a message, time-stamped 48 hours ago, from my personal account. Subject, resignation letter. Attachment, S_Everett_resign, PDF. I tapped the file. There it was. My name. My signature. Only I never wrote it. I never signed anything. The elevator dinged. Lobby. I walked out like nothing was wrong, the way you do after a car crash before the pain hits. On the curb, my driver looked up from his phone and opened the car door. I got in, closed it slowly like silence could undo the damage. I clicked my phone again, tried logging into Synapse's backend. My access was revoked. I called Riley. No answer. I texted, "Tell me what the hell is going on." Read. No reply. Then her message came in short. "I've been told to stop all contact. I'm sorry." The car turned onto Hennepin. My mind scrambled for logic, for any clue, any mistake I could trace backward. My heart thudded in my throat. I reached for the door handle. The phone rang. Unknown number. I answered automatic. A voice came through, distorted male. "You should have never trusted him with the vault." Click. I jerked forward. Wait. Deadline. The vault. The only thing Beckett and I swore we'd never touch without both signatures. Where we kept the real crown jewels. Prototypes, patents, contracts, and dirt on any competitor, whoever came close. A chill ran up my arms. I looked at the windshield. Rain blurred the city into ghost lights. Every intersection blinked red like a warning. I knew then, this wasn't just about ego or business. This was war. He didn't just take my company. He took my signature, my name, and now my silence. The front door wouldn't open. The digital lock blinked red, then shut down completely. I tried again. Nothing. My condo, bought in my name, paid in full, titled under Everett Holdings, no longer recognized me. I stood still, soaked in rain, watching the security camera blink. Once. Twice. Off. A lie doesn't begin with betrayal. It starts with silence. I walked around the back, pulling the old emergency key I swore I'd never use. The kind that scratched your palm when you squeezed too tight. I popped the latch under the utility panel. Still worked. Inside, the air was cold. Too clean. Like someone had wiped away the fingerprints of my life. Lights already on. That wasn't me. My laptop was gone from the kitchen counter. So was the charging dock. On the island sat a single black envelope. No address. No seal. Inside, a printed copy of a legal document. Shareholder exit agreement. Party A, Sloan Everett. Party B, Radian Front Holdings LLC. Signed and notarized 3 days ago. I scanned to the signature block. My name, my handwriting, even the slight curve of my S, and the tail I always curled on the last T. But I hadn't signed it. The notary's name, Riley Monroe. I dropped the paper. My hand shook. That wasn't a signature. It was a weapon. Riley, my assistant, the one I'd trained, promoted, trusted. People don't stab you in the dark. They wait until you're handing them the knife. I grabbed my phone, called Riley. Voicemail. I tried Marathon, my old legal counsel, before Beckett insisted we bring in fresh blood. She answered on the third ring. I'm in trouble, I said. Something big. Pause. How big? I think I've been erased. Silence. A breath. Where are you? Home. Or what used to be. I'm coming. Don't open for anyone else. Cut scene. 15 minutes later, Mara stepped inside. Trench coat still dripping. Eyes scanning every corner like she expected snipers behind the wine rack. She took the documents from me, flipping pages fast. I've seen this format, she said, sitting. Radian Front's dirty. Shell company out of Delaware. Used in at least 3 tech laundering cases. Chicago, Austin, Vegas. My chest tightened. Why would Beckett? She held up a hand. Don't say his name like he's separate from this. Then, quietly, almost like to herself. To a future we can't escape. I leaned forward. This is criminal. Mara nodded slowly. Yes, but smart. What do we do? We prove the signature's fake. And Riley? Gone, most likely. You were the story. She was the shadow. Flash. Security camera footage. My face on a loop. Sitting at this table, signing that contract. But I wasn't here 3 days ago. I was in Houston, speaking at a healthcare AI forum. With press, cameras, witnesses, alibi. Can you get me inside Synapse? I asked. Mara looked at me. You want to break in? I want the original. The hard copy. The file history. The truth. Another breath. Then we move fast. They're erasing you in real time. Cut scene. It was 2:16 a.m. when we pulled into the underground garage at Synapse's legal annex. No one should have been there. We went through the freight elevator. Lights flickered. Floor creaked. Mara had the access code. Still worked. We moved like shadows down the hall. Past the file archive. Into the central records vault. Digital lock. Fingerprint pad. I pressed mine. Access denied. Mara tried hers. Green. Inside, the air was frigid. Walls lined with secured file drawers. Mara pulled drawer 17B. She found it. The original shareholder exit agreement. I reached for it, then the lights died. Silence. Then. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. 2 sets. Mara whispered, "Move." We ran. Around the file racks. Past copy stations. Toward the service exit. A man stepped out. Masked. Dressed like security, but the gun wasn't standard issue. Suppressed. Military. He aimed. We ducked. I shoved Mara left. He fired. Sparks burst off the steel cabinets. Screams echoed. Then more footsteps, faster now. We ran through a side corridor. I yanked open a supply closet door. We slipped inside. Breath held. Mara clutched the file to her chest. I pulled my phone. Camera app. No signal. I switched to local file viewer. One file glowed on screen. Edit history. Accessed 4 days ago. User. b.everett_admin01. Device. Remote desktop. IP. Everett Home Office. He did it. It was him. All of it. A crash outside. The door cracked inward. I threw open the back exit. Mara went first. I followed. Alarms blared. Floodlights snapped on. We didn't stop. Not until we were 6 blocks away, panting in an alley. Blood on Mara's cheek from a shallow cut. She smiled anyway. Did you get it? I nodded, then looked down at my phone. A new notification blinked on screen. Unknown number. Video attachment. It opened on my living room. Live feed. Beckett, sitting on the couch, smiling. Emery beside him, playing with her stuffed bear. Mommy's been very bad, he said softly to the camera, but I'll protect you, won't I? I watched the screen in Mara's shaking hands as Beckett tilted his head toward the camera like it was a mirror. Mommy's been very bad, he whispered again, but I'll protect you. The feed cut. I was already moving. We go now. Mara grabbed the file, nodded. No more questions. No time. Cut scene. The car screeched out from the alley, tires slick with leftover rain. I drove. Red lights blurred. Sirens behind us. Unrelated, maybe, but every sound now felt aimed at me. He's using Emery, I said, to send a message. Mara didn't reply. She was texting someone. Fast. Silent. Who? I asked. Lucien, she said. I trust him. I didn't. Not really. But I didn't have better. We parked 2 blocks from Lucien's lab. Industrial space. Edge of downtown. Unmarked. No signage. Lights off. Cut scene. Lucien opened the side door with one hand and a pistol in the other. Tucked low like he'd done this before. You brought hell to my door, he said. I'll burn it down with you if we have to, I said. But I need into the vault. He hesitated, then stepped back. Inside, the lab buzzed faintly, machines on sleep mode. Blue LEDs blinking like eyes in the dark. It smelled like solder, metal, and coffee long cold. Lucien led us to the back. Vault was biometric. Retinal scan plus voice. Only 2 voices worked. Mine. Beckett's. I stepped up. Everett Protocol. Level 4. Unlock and record. The light blinked green. Door hissed open. Inside, hard drives, black briefcases, 3 sealed safes. One of them, number 3, was labeled in red tape, drone phase. I turned to Lucien. Why is this here? That project was terminated. He didn't answer, just stared. Mara opened the safe. USB drive, labeled, blood red casing. Vault key, DP Alpha. Suddenly, lights went out. All of them. A bang outside. Then another. Lucien grabbed the drive, shoved it into his pocket. Move. We ran. Down the corridor. Emergency lights kicked in. Faint red glow like warning signs from hell. Then, boom. Glass shattered from the far end. Smoke rolled in. I choked. Grenade. Lucien yelled. Not military, distraction grade. We turned a corner. A figure stepped into view. Tall. Masked. Kevlar. He didn't speak. Just raised a weapon. Laser sighted. No insignia. Lucien pulled me down. Gunfire. Loud. Fast. Sparks flew. Concrete cracked. Mara screamed. Hit. Arm. I pulled her up. She gritted her teeth. It's nothing. Lucien tossed a smoke canister behind us. Exit Route C. Go. Another blast. Wall cracked open. Debris flew. We ran through emergency hatch. Metal stairs down to the underground garage. Alarms wailed. Outside, Lucien's car was already burning. Whoever came for us didn't want us dead. Not yet. They wanted the files. They wanted drone phase. Cut scene. Back at Mara's safe house, hidden above a pawn shop in northeast Minneapolis. She stitched her own arm. Teeth gritted. You knew this wasn't just about you, she said. I stared at the USB Lucien had dropped into my hand before disappearing. What's on it? I asked. Mara tapped her phone. Let's find out. The drive mounted. Folder structure simple. One file caught my eye. dphase_directive_ 57.pdf. I opened it. Top page, letterhead of Synapse. Confidential. Below that, directive to sell proprietary AI medical tech to Kozlov Holdings, Zurich. Signed by Sloan Everett, CTO. Beckett Everett, CEO. Date, 6 months ago. My hands went cold. I never signed this. My name was being used to sign international tech transfers. Some of the devices listed? Life support systems, neuroregulators, cardiac overrides. These weren't tools for healing. They were weapons, used remotely, controlled through embedded firmware, capable of causing disruption events with a signal. And I had just found my signature on every authorization line. Mara whispered, they're selling it. Not for medicine. For leverage. I stared at the screen. They can kill people. Shut down hearts. Induce strokes. All remotely. And you're the inventor on paper. Another file. Video format. Mara clicked play. It was footage from 6 weeks ago. Beckett. In the Synapse vault. Signing papers. Then. He looked directly into the camera. And smiled. You built the code, he said aloud. And now you'll take the fall. Mara covered her mouth. He recorded it. For leverage. For control. For when you started fighting back. My phone buzzed. Unknown sender. A single text. You have 24 hours to return everything, or Emery disappears. We stared at the message like it could change if we blinked enough. You have 24 hours to return everything, or Emery disappears. Mara locked the door. Deadbolt. Chain. Then she turned to me. He's not bluffing. He's using our daughter as leverage. No, he's using your fear. I looked at the clock. 3:17 a.m. 24 hours wasn't just a threat, it was a trap. Every minute would be watched. Every move anticipated. He wasn't daring me to run. He was betting I would. You always said, Mara murmured, a lie becomes real the moment it gets believed by more than one person. I nodded. And truth becomes useless the moment it's buried under the right signature. Cut scene. Lucian hadn't come back. Either he was burned or bought. Mara hooked up the drive to an encrypted partition. She started pulling metadata. Time logs. IP traces. I grabbed a burner phone. Texted Nolan, my old compliance officer before Beckett restructured the department 6 months ago. One ping. 2 minutes later. Don't text again. Meet me at AMC loading dock. 4 a.m. alone. AMC. Synapse's manufacturing partner. Why there? Mara watched me dress. Tactical. No jewelry. Hair up. You need backup. No. Beckett expects me alone. She tossed me a small flash drive. Just in case. Cut scene. AMC's loading dock stank of oil and bleach. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry wasps. I parked 2 blocks out. Walked in through the maintenance corridor. Nolan was already there. Hoodie up. Face pale. You look like hell, he said. Then I'm dressing for the occasion. He handed me a manila folder. Inside, shipment manifests. Shipping dates. Overseas accounts. Shell buyers. Everything tied back to Synapse. I knew, Nolan whispered. But I didn't know how much. Beckett used my login. Doctored approvals. Half those drone cores were rerouted to Zurich. And the other half... His eyes flicked up. Classified military contractors. Not all domestic. My breath caught. Weapons. They were building kill switches in hospitals. Why now? I asked. Nolan's voice shook. Because the whistleblower filing deadline is today. Noon. If you submit before then, the DOJ has to investigate. Beckett knows. He's trying to make sure you're silent. Cut scene. Back at the safe house, Mara scanned every form Nolan handed over. Her fingers trembled on the keys. They're using subshell entities, she muttered. One of them's registered under Emery's name. My blood froze. She's 4. Doesn't matter. They set it up 6 months ago. Her SSN. Her identity. They funneled crypto through her trust fund. On paper, she's the asset holder. I sat down hard. They weren't just framing me. They were laundering everything through my daughter. That way, even if I fought back, I'd implicate her. My hands curled into fists. We need the original authorization logs, I said. The ones Beckett tried to wipe. They're stored in cold archive. On site at Synapse HQ. Let's break in. Mara looked at me. We'll need someone on the inside. I thought of one name. Julian Lake. My former co-founder. The only person Beckett hadn't managed to completely erase, because Julian walked out 2 years ago with his own secrets. Cutscene. Julian's townhouse was dark, but he answered on the second knock. He looked older, grayer, still angry. You shouldn't be here. I have 21 hours left. That's 21 more than I expected. I told him everything in 5 minutes. He listened, then said, I'll get you in. Why help me? Because I saw what Beckett did to my sister. You remember Harper, don't you? I did. She was quiet, brilliant, dead from an accidental overdose 3 years ago. Days after resigning from a Synapse satellite firm. No one questioned it. Julian's voice turned cold. He made her sign something too. Cutscene. We entered Synapse HQ through the freight lift. Julian still had badge access as a ghost contractor. Mara stayed back to monitor comms. I kept my breath shallow. This was it. 4th floor. Cold archive. Server room. Walls humming like a hive. Julian cracked the admin panel. Inserted Mara's drive. Files decrypted. A single folder /legal/exec/override/EV_structure. Inside, voice memos. Beckett dictating edits. Instructions to impersonate my voice through AI modulation. Real-time deepfakes. My voice ordering transactions. Authorizing shipments. Approving kill tech. Julian whispered, he didn't just forge you. He became you. I copied everything. Then we heard the door click. Julian drew his weapon. Too late. Beckett stood there, flanked by 2 security officers. You should have stayed erased, Sloan. Then he turned to Julian. Drop the gun, or Emery sleeps with strangers tonight. The gun never wavered in Julian's hands. Neither did Beckett smile. Drop it, Beckett said again, soft, reasonable, like he was negotiating a merger instead of threatening a child. Julian's jaw clenched. You don't get to say her name. Beckett tilted his head. I get to say anything I want. That's what power is. I stepped forward. Slowly. Palms open. Let him go, I said. This is between you and me. Beckett's eyes flicked to me. Cold. Assessing. He looked pleased, the way predators do when prey finally understands the trap. You always did take responsibility for other people's mistakes, he said. One of your many weaknesses. One of the guards shifted, gun angled higher. I heard my own heartbeat. Loud. Measured. A thought cut through the noise, something my father once told me when I was young. If you're ever cornered, make them choose between 2 things they want. I smiled. You already lost, I said. Beckett laughed. Short. Sharp. You have nothing. I tapped my pocket. I sent everything. His smile froze. Don't, he said. Not angry. Alarmed. 30 minutes ago, I continued, the DOJ received a sealed whistleblower packet. Full logs. Metadata. Voice synthesis proof. Shell entities. Including the ones registered to our daughter. The word hit him harder than I expected. You wouldn't, he said. I did. I took another step. You taught me something important, Beckett. Reputation is just a story people agree to believe. I changed the story. One of the guards glanced at him. Beckett's eyes burned. You think the truth saves you? No, I said. It just burns faster. Sirens wailed in the distance. Not close. Yet. Julian moved. Fast. Gunshot. The left guard went down. Chaos exploded. I grabbed the nearest server tower and shoved. It crashed. Sparks. Lights flickered. Another shot. Glass shattered. Beckett ran. Cut scene. Stairwell. Concrete. Echoing footsteps. My lungs screamed as I chased him down 3 flights. He was faster than I remembered. Or maybe fear made him light. He slammed through the exit door into the ballroom. The Synapse Gala. Hundreds of people. Champagne. Strings. Applause froze mid-note as Beckett stumbled onto the stage, breathless, jacket torn. Security swarmed. Guests gasped. I followed him out. Spotlights burned my eyes. I blinked, stepped forward, microphone already in his hand. My wife, Beckett said, voice amplified, shaking just enough to sound sincere, is having a breakdown. Gasps rippled. She's been threatening our family, our company. I laughed. It cut through the room like glass. Say it again, I said, but slower. He turned. His eyes met mine. A warning flashed there. Tell them who signed the drone transfer, I said. Tell them whose voice authorized the kill protocols. He leaned closer to the mic. You're sick. The ballroom doors burst open. Federal agents flooded in. Jackets. Badges. Weapons drawn. Beckett Everett, a woman announced, you're under arrest for fraud, international trafficking of controlled technology, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit homicide. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Phones rose. The story escaped. Beckett's face collapsed, not fear. Betrayal. As they cuffed him, he looked at me one last time. You think this makes you powerful? I leaned in, close enough that only he could hear. No, I said softly. It makes me free. They dragged him away. Cut scene. Later. Quiet room. Police station. A detective slid a photo across the table. Emery. Asleep. Safe. Found at a rental house 40 minutes north. Unharmed. I exhaled. Shook. Cried once. Hard. Then stopped. The detective spoke gently. You're clear. For now. For now, I echoed. Outside, dawn crept over the city. Gray. New. Julian stood with me on the steps. You could take it back, he said. The company. I shook my head. It was never mine once it needed a crown. My phone buzzed. A single message from an unknown number. You survived. That means phase 2 begins. I deleted it. Some wars don't end when the villain falls. They end when you decide what you're willing to become next. The sky was gray. Not stormy. Not threatening. Just gray. I stood at the edge of the Synapse Dynamics rooftop garden. The city spread beneath like a circuit board full of possibilities and dangers. The wind whispered through the steel and glass, carrying the distant hum of highway traffic. It felt like the world was breathing, slow, deliberate, unaware of the quake that had just shattered its foundation. I watched agent cars pull away, handcuffs and headlines and tape wrapped around the main entrance. Beckett's name already splashed across every screen, every trending topic. But he wasn't the story anymore. I was. The world had watched a CEO fall. Now it would watch what I chose to do next. A voice came from behind. Julian. You okay? He asked, arms crossed. Gaze steady but wary. I didn't answer. Instead, I looked down at the city. 1,000 reflections glinted in the glass towers. You know, Julian said, voice low. They say adversity doesn't build character. It reveals it. I let the words settle. He was right. Adversity had revealed everything. What I had fought for, what I had nearly lost, and what I refused to let die. Slowly, I turned to him. Emery's safe, I said. Julian nodded. But something else happened, he said. I raised an eyebrow. Filing just went through. Mandatory reporting to DOJ. All of it. Beckett's actions, the shell transfers, the weaponized tech. Classified as international trafficking. You did that. I exhaled. Good, he said. Not loud. No triumph. Just facts. I pulled out my phone. One message. From an unknown number. Phase 2 begins. I deleted it. Some threats were worth ignoring. Some shadows were worth leaving behind. Cut scene. Later, I walked through the DOJ checkpoint into a temporary press briefing staged at the base of the Synapse Tower. Reporters crowded the courtyard. Phones raised, helicopters buzzing overhead. Lenses focused on me. The files I'd submitted were public record now, transparent, unalterable. I didn't flinch. I walked to the mic. Lights. Clicks. Shouts. Thank you. I began, voice steady. A pause. No company should wield power without accountability. No child should be used as leverage in a corporate coup. And no pioneer, no matter how skilled, should be erased by someone who misuses trust. I saw faces in the crowd, some sympathetic, some skeptical, some hungry for drama. But let me be clear, I continued. Truth is not just something we tell. It's something we protect. And that is why I stood forward. There was a shuffle of papers. A question, direct, sharp. Are you returning to lead Synapse? I breathed. No. Synapse needs new leadership untainted by betrayal. And I need something different. Murmurs. But I expected that. To all innovators, I said, eyes scanning the cameras, what we build must bring life, not destroy it. And that purpose must be stronger than any signature on a contract. I stepped away from the mic. Cut scene. An hour later, I stood in a small off-site office, far from the glittering corporate towers. A modest table, a single laptop, one legal pad, Emery's crayon drawing pinned to the wall. It was of our family before all of this. Her smile, my arms around her, Beckett nowhere in sight. I touched the drawing. The room smelled like coffee and fresh paint, symbols of a fresh start. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew this much. I wasn't running from anything anymore. I was running toward something. Another file pinged open on my laptop. From Mara, a single line. There are orphan patents. Ones Beckett never listed. Ones that could change medtech for good. I sat down. I opened a new document and started typing. Phase 1. Establish Transparency Trust Network. I wrote. Fast. Precise. Clear. Cut scene. Night fell. The city lights blinked on. One by one. Then all at once. A grid of ambition and risk. I watched as stars faded behind the glow. And I understood. Victory isn't a moment. It's the decision to keep moving. I exhaled. A thought hovered unbidden. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. I smiled. Not because the fire was gone, but because I had survived it. And now I built for something bigger than a company. I built for a future worth protecting.